Hey guys, and welcome to Dan-gler's Sea Fishing. Tonight I'm fishing Totland, and it's a comp night. Now let's get fishing.
Daddy's going fishing.
Got a new rod and I got some new line. Got a boat, it's just about time to head on out to my favorite spot. It's just about fishing time. Bee bye, bicky bye, bicky bye, bo, bicky bye, bicky bye, bicky boo. Bee bye, bicky bye, bicky bye, bo, bicky bye, bicky boo, bicky.
So guys, as I said, tonight I am fishing Totland. It is a comp. Target species tonight is rays. It was meant to be at Sandown, but we've got some pretty rough weather, so it did end up being moved and we're now down Totland. Because it's rough weather, conditions are a little bit sort of rolling. We've got some muddy water. It does mean I'm going to be fishing slightly different tonight. So the rigs I'm going to be using are Portsmouth loops, and I might be using a Bagnall bar later. I've managed to get a spot that's just to the right of the pier. So I'm going to try and get one of mine to be just around the pier, maybe a little bit further back from the end, and then the other one I'm probably going to see arc it as far as I possibly can. Going to be using some bigger baits from the off tonight. Stuff like wrasse and that seem to be a lot harder to find in these sort of conditions. Bream is probably very unlikely. And the other reason that I picked this spot is I wanted it to be easier to land the fish. Off the wall it can be difficult because you get the waves bouncing back off the wall. So I picked onto the beach because it's easier to play a fish in rough conditions. The other thing, because it is rough conditions, I will be using mono tonight rather than braid. The reason for that is when there's a lot of swell and movement and wind, you want a bit of stretch in your line so that it doesn't pull the rig, pull your weight out of its grip and move it around so that you're not rolling around so much. You want the bait to move, but you don't want your weight to move. Anyway, so I am using some different reels tonight because I knew I sort of wanted to be in the sandier spot. So I have picked some slightly different reels. So let's have a look at them. So tonight, as I said, I'm using a slightly different reel. I'm using an Abu Chrome Rocket 6500 on one rod. Reason I'm using this is it's got finer line and it's a faster reel, which means I can get a bit of extra distance out of it. And I've got these on my Any Fish Anywhere 15 foot. The reason I'm using these rods is it will help if it gets rough out on the surf later, to help me get the rod nice and high and keep that fish coming in and keeping the line tight and out of the waves to stop me avoid losing the fish. And then on my other rod, because I'm going to be fishing a bit closer to the pier, I'm using my Penn Mag 525s. On there I've got 25-pound Asso Night line with a 70-pound shock leader. And on the Abu Chrome Rocket, I have the Xenon 19-pound main line with an Asso tapered shock leader. Yeah, so tonight I am using Portsmouth loop rigs. So as you can see, I've got a spring-loaded top rig, and on there I've just got a 1.0 on 40-pound fluorocarbon. Then on the bottom, as you can see, the rig is it's a 50-pound main line, and then I think that's 40-pound to a 2.0 pulley pennel on the bottom. So with these, you fish a big bait on the bottom, and then normally a smaller bait on the top. They're a good match fishing rig for when you want big baits and little baits out at the same time. I think today there's a good chance of some bigger fish being around early, so I think it's a good day to use it. So you clip your bottom one in, and then you've got a cascade further up, which then goes to clip your top down and then that's sprung loaded, and that holds down, and then when this is released, this bottom rig will drop way below the lead, while this other one will carry on fishing above the lead. So I've been told we're starting a little bit earlier, so I better get cracking, but let's have a quick look at the baits we've got tonight. So my baits tonight, because ray is the target species, I have got quite a few fishy baits. So I've got 3 joey mackerels, I've got some anchovy, I've got some ragworm, I've got squid, and I've got some fresh spider peelers. So we've got a good chance of a bass tonight, so I will be using fairly big baits. First bait going out, I'm going to have half a joey, which I'm just whipping up, and that's going to go on the bottom of one of my pulley pennels with worm bait on the top. And then on my other rig, I'm going to start with a spider peeler on the bottom and a worm bait on the top. I think for speed, I'm going to put a whole squid on the bottom of the other one rather than a spider peeler just to get started, and then I'll put a spider peeler on the second one. So we've got baits in the water. Only a little bit late. But that wind is rather tricky. That is really dragging it to the right, just as it's blowing through. But we'll see. So there we are, the fresh spider peelers that I'm using tonight. I'll probably get 1 bait out of most of these, but I might split them into 2 and double them up with a bit of squid. Looks like there's a fair bit of weed in the water as well. I can see it on the line already. Well, that's going to be great fun. We're probably not going to be able to tell too much on lighter bites tonight, so it'll be sort of a case of reeling them in and having a look. But because we've got bigger baits out there, we don't need to worry too much. Hopefully, if one of the bigger baits gets taken, then we'll see it fairly quickly. So with the Bagnall bar, what you have is you have your main bar here, and then basically like the loop rig, it drops down below the lead. What you have is you have a small cascade swivel just by the hook, and then the hook clips into an imp on the bottom of the bar, and then the cascade just clips into the spring at the top there, and it just holds it all tight, keeping a very compact bait. Then once that imp releases, it drops right down below the line. You do need quite a bit of water movement to get this out so that it keeps moving through. So you don't want to use this when you've got quite a slack tide. You want it when there's quite a strong tide running through, which we have today. So I've peeled my spider crab, and I'm just going to whip that up on my baiting tool. When you're peeling these, don't worry about if there's still a little bit of shell. The fish that are going through them won't worry about a tiny bit. There we are, and that's all whipped up. And I'm just going to pop that on the Bagnall bar, ready to go out in a bit. There is currently an absolutely enormous bit of weed on this this rod, so I'm gonna have to bring that one in a minute. So slight change of plan early doors. This weed is actually proving to be a bit of a nightmare, so I've had to change off the Abu Chrome Rocket because it just can't handle that amount of weed. And I'm also going over the 2-hook clip down. I'm just going to drop one in just sort of under the pylons, just to the left of me, not very far out, and just see if we can find something that's playing around in the pylons down there. So it is a windy old session tonight. It is going to make things a little bit difficult. I don't think we're going to register many smaller bites. Obviously a bigger bite we will see, but might be a general case of guesswork with leaving them out there. I'm going to leave them out there a bit longer, just let them get tossed around, but they're going to weed up quite a lot, and we're just going to have to sort of work on bringing them in and just see if there's anything on there for a lot of this session. As I said before, I don't recommend braid when the conditions are like this, because you've got weed and everything. All it will do is it will just break your lead loose out there, whereas the mono will stretch, so it gives you a bit of a cushion, stops your gear just sliding around in the tide. Well guys, new species to the channel. We've got a plaice. Unfortunately, he's undersized, so I can't weigh him in, but that is a little plaice. I haven't caught one of these for ages, so that is quite a surprise. But we'll pop some more worm baits out, we'll pop them in short and see if we can find another one. I'm going to pop this guy back. Well, that's a start, I suppose. New species to the channel, a plaice. Unfortunately, too small to weigh in for the comp, but lovely to see. But that does mean that my idea of popping them in a bit shorter, stick worm baits in and around the bottom of the pier, in those little gullies where you like to get stuff like plaice and bass and that all patrolling, and that seemed to work. Well, that goes beyond the whole logical of how you catch a plaice. Normally it's, you know, calm conditions, clear water. This is cloudy as mug, rough as anything. Goes to show you never know. So the next loop rig I've got prepared is a joey mackerel head on the bottom on the 2.0 pennel, and then a squid head on the 1.0 top hook. So I've just dropped one out, not that far. I've just dropped it about 30 yards out, and I'm probably about 30 yards away from the pier. I don't want to drop them too close to the pier, because we've got pylons and there's some old bits of rope and that come off it. So that's just going to be a hazard. But I want to be close enough that you've got fish patrolling around it. And I don't want to be too far out, because with that joey head that I've got on there and that squid head, it's a good bait for a bass. So I want to be closer in, try and see if there's anything patrolling around here. I don't know whether it shows up on camera, but it's like a really weird colour light at the moment. It's dark, but it's not dark. It's the sort of colour that it goes before it rains. Or a hurricane arrives, one of the two. Well guys, we got bass. Not quite the size I was looking for, but as I thought, there is some bass about. So we got this little fella. Anyway, we're going to get him back and hopefully find his great-great-great-granddad, or at least his dad. So just prepping next bait to go on the bottom. It's half an anchovy, and I'm just going to whip that up. That's going to be on the bottom of a pennel of one of the Portsmouth loops. Feels like there's got to be some bigger bass out there. So just prepped another one. We've got a squid head at the top, then we've got half an anchovy on the bottom there, as you can see. Nice proud hooks, ready to go. Well guys, we got another Plaice, as you can tell by the bumps on the head and the orange spots. But again, it's another fish that's too small. But that's the second one I've had, and I haven't had one of these in 2 years. So let's get this guy back and hopefully get a slightly bigger one. Well, maybe that's why I haven't caught a Plaice for 2 years, because it wasn't blowing a hoolie, it wasn't chocolate coloured water, it wasn't rough, and it was sunny. I don't know, fishing, eh? If only we could find something to weigh in though. Don't get me wrong, I'm really happy that I've caught 2 Plaice, but I would love something to weigh in. So one of the things with match fishing in these conditions is when one of the guys around you catches a good fish, you need to go and lend them a hand, because landing the fish can be difficult in these conditions. Rich next to me just had a really good fish on, but he lost it quite a long way out. But it's one of them things, you've got to go there and try and support them, because you can be the difference between them landing that fish and then losing it in the surf, because it can be very difficult in these conditions. Well guys, we've are one of you leaking bait elastic? I don't know, it's everywhere. There we go guys, managed to get one to weigh in. £1.1 little dogfish, but we're on the board. Get in. Well guys, we're on the board. That's a great thing. Dogfish. And just after the sun had actually got dark, I couldn't show you the bite because I was changing the camera at the time when it went. So I could only show you after it was all done. But let's get some more. Well guys, yeah, I'm pretty busy at the moment. I'm probably not going to be able to show you too much baiting up tonight, because with the wind and the rough seas and trying to keep on top of all of this, it's a bit difficult. But I'll make up for that in another session another time. So the area I'm fishing out here, it is predominantly sand, and then it's got a rock wall towards the back, and obviously I've got the pier just running to the left of me here. I do seem to be finding a few snags now. I think it could be spider crabs dragging me into places. But that might be a sign that maybe we need to start whacking out a few more spider crabs. So the time is 10:30 now. Yeah, we still got an hour and a half left. But yeah, at least we're on the board, which is good. And I'm really chuffed about those couple of Plaice I had earlier. But it'd be nice to get a few more fish to get on the board. Well, a few more fish on the board. Well guys, we have another species, just a little pout, this one. Again, undersized, but I'll pop this little guy back, and actually I might pop him in the bucket because I might live bait him later. I don't know, I'll see. But if not, I can always pop him back later. So what I've done is I've actually just put a knife through the head of the pout to kill it. Then I've chopped all the fins off, and then I've put my bottom pennel out the bottom and just my top pennel hook I've got just sticking out the mouth there, just holding it in place, just on the mouth point. And then I'm going to pop this out, and hopefully that might find a bass or a conger or possibly a ray. Right, so it is 45 minutes left to go. I'm going to leave the pout out for the rest of the night now. It's got a good chance and possibly a bass, conger, ray, whatever. So I'm going to leave that out there and just see if it can find anything. But the other one, I've got another rig ready. If we do manage to get a bite on that one, I will pop that one out straight away and then change it over. But if I don't, I'm going to bring that in with half an hour to go and just whack some fresh baits out for half an hour. I don't need to push it too hard because I have managed to weigh in. So I would rather look for a bigger fish now, see if I can do well with a decent fish. Fish over £3 would be lovely. Ray would be lovely. But just another fish would be lovely. Anything that I could weigh in. 4 species, only one in size. I seem to be going through a stage at the moment where I can catch lots of species, but I can't seem to find the ones that are in size on the comps. Well, that plan didn't work. I planned to leave the pout out there for a full hour, but I managed to bring it in with the other rod. But anyway, it was still in fairly good condition. I've just plopped it out 30 yards, so now we are only really fishing for a bass with it. But it is just plopped out here, sort of rolling around. You never know, we might get lucky. The other one is got 2 squid on it, and that is just sent out to a bit of distance, as much distance as you can in this kind of wind. But yeah, we'll see if we can get anything before the end of the night. Well guys, and I think that's about it. Unless these go in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to wrap it up now because it is started to chuck it down. And once this is finished, I want to get back in the van before I get too wet. Anyway, congratulations to everyone who managed to weigh in today. I should be putting the scores up now. Yeah, so it's been an all right little session, this one. I would have liked to have got more to be able to weigh in, but I caught 2 plaice. I am absolutely chuffed with that, which is great. Lovely to see as well. Plaice are quite hard to find now, so to find 2 is pretty good. Anyway, if you are enjoying my videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until the next one, I'll see you then.